You're listening to the Renegade Blitz. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. And subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Glad to be back rolling here on the Renegade Blitz, as it's an end-of-season version of the podcast. I guess that everyone thought it was going to be a playoff version with everything, but of course, you've seen the meme. You've seen the GIF from Big Daddy, the Jets. The Jets couldn't get it done.
You know the season's over. You know something different about me, Ty.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, I know. I seen you as we could also talk about the national championship because we're all football fans here.
Oh yeah, we
First
are.
and foremost. Then we have allegiances to teams. Both of us have the Pittsburgh Steelers, or let's not put allegiances out there. We both have a podcast on the Pittsburgh Steelers. You write about the Pittsburgh Steelers. You write for the Penn State Nittany Lions. I might write about something for somewhere if I can manage time better. That's the one thing, but all that stuff. But I think when you look at it like this, I was talking to a family member. I said this: if they go into the playoffs, they weren't going to win that first round matchup unless there was a tremendous effort on both sides. That while I think that one side of the ball could put it together, the other side of the ball, as constructed in terms of game planning, I have serious doubts about it. And I think all roads, no matter what, led to a boat race. It really did.
Yeah, it was going to be a boat race. It was going to be bad. So they saved themselves the embarrassment. And then guess what? You know how these fans are in Pittsburgh. They don't care. Like, fire Tomlin. Fire Matt. Fire. They'll be like, and they went. And that happened. So I'm glad they got out with a win. And they have a building block for the future. They need some more dogs.
Dogs. I think you need the mentality. And I think coming back with a mentality. Look, he might not be a franchise quarterback, but at the very least he's a quarterback one. You could say this: if you have 2 straight comebacks in prime time, including one on Christmas night when you're honoring the man who effectively birthed the good times of the franchise, and then you went on the road against a divisional rival, you're a dog.
Yeah. He ain't the only dog. Dogs. We got Pickens. I love him.
Yeah.
Love that dog.
Even Stetson Bennett's a dog. You can, as far as I'm concerned, if you show up when you're absolutely called on with it, I view it as the old saying: 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Do you wish that it would have went down better in Miami, because that really was the difference? Who cares if they lost in New England?
I'll tell you what the difference was. The Jets.
Losing to the Jets, I think losing to the Jets obviously didn't help them, and I wonder if that game did, if the season switched with that win over Miami, or would that have mattered? Because I think they actually would have gotten in with that. The Jets was just a cacophony of mismanagement, even from the head coach, which people around here will think that it's next to God. I can criticize a head coach and still think that he should still remain the coach of this team.
Oh yeah, we criticize him all the time, but it was like that was a bad loss. They should have beat New England, but they got outdogged. New England just wanted that game more. But at the end of the day, you did play some trash teams at the end, like Carolina, the Saints, the NFC South. So it kind of evens out. The Colts.
My question with people is, I view it as this: even your fellow Nittany Sports Now co-host, and he said this: everyone's applauding to Mike Tomlin for the 6-2 end of the season, but are you gonna laud him for it's paraphrase? Are you gonna laud him for the 2-6 effort? I get what he means with that, but let's view it like this: if this team would have lost to Carolina, Atlanta, who else? Who else? Las Vegas,
Baltimore the second time.
Baltimore the second time around. You would have hated this even more. And you want to know something? I probably would have had a much more friendlier slant towards a Fire Tomlin statement with those. Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's the game where you're like,
I said on this podcast, Indianapolis would have made me say it.
I know,
because that team, as much as it is, it's one thing if you're. I know that Jeff Saturday's a franchise legend. I know that it's tough to win games in high school. It's tough to win football games at any level. The difficulty just gets higher and higher the further you go up, the levels you see. But losing to effectively a high school coach, even though he's a clear-cut Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Famer. What am I kidding?
Jeff Saturday?
Well, he should be. If he's not, he should be.
Could be. Hall of very good.
Come on, man. The quarterback the quarterback whose hands were under the buttocks for most of the time was a Hall of Famer. And that offensive line for everything that it is, with the Colts, that offensive line was the catalyst to a lot of what Peyton Manning did.
Right, but that still doesn't mean you're a Hall of Fame. You see, now we're getting like too many saying this is a Hall of Famer. What?
Too many cooks?
Yeah, too many like levels to he ain't that level. I'm saying, is he the best center ever? No. He's pretty good. The best center they probably ever had, but no, people be telling Hall of Famer too vaguely these days.
We're gonna have to put a check on that because I'm giving him the nod, but that's just me. I'm gonna give him the nods. Maybe someone with better football expertise with that would put a clear-cut argument with it, but this is a Steelers podcast, not a Jeff Saturday podcast.
I know this is not, and look, but you know what? Is it one of another benefit is of not having another game?
We could shoot the crap like this, I guess. You got a point.
Well, that too, but no, your boy will never play another down in a Steeler uniform.
Yes, and I want to talk about this because the centralness around this with the national championship is that Jarvis Jones is once again a national champion. I think he was a graduate assistant on last year's team. This is me assuming. I didn't check.
We'll take a look at it, but yeah, I think he was. He probably was. He may have been a graduate assistant, but still.
At the very least, he might have been a volunteer assistant, but his career is very much over. I wanted to talk about this because you were talking with Amanda Gadsey, who I'd love to have on this podcast as well.
She will be on here. I will guarantee she'll be on.
I will continue this podcast if we turn it into more of a Steelers shoot the crap podcast. Every that would help us a little bit more. But we're no longer fans. We're professionals. The game has changed for us.
Yeah.
With every step of the way with that. But anyways, she got on here. Of course, you'll take any opportunity to take a free shot at Devin Bush. And people out here were saying that Jarvis Jones was the biggest bust, at least in the last 15, 20 years for the Steelers. And I'm more partial to agree that because I view outside linebacker in this defense is so critical.
Yes.
I know middle linebacker is very important in a 3-4, but there's two of them out there. One of those outside linebackers have got to get to the quarterback. And especially, I think he was the strong side outside linebacker because he was the last outside linebacker before TJ Watt.
Yes, he was. And I'm going to tell you why Bush is a bigger
Devin Bush had a season. Devin Bush.
I don't care about that.
No, I'm going to put this argument out here. Devin Bush.
Care about a rookie.
He had a good. Yes, but also let me tell you this right now. A lot of people that can point the turning point for this franchise in terms of where it was in that first COVID season with the Steelers to where it is right now. A lot of people can view the turning point of a lot of things with this Steelers team was Devin Bush's injury against Tennessee. That man was garnering thoughts of he could be an all-pro.
And that year was overrated.
You're putting your hatred up there.
There
was legitimate talks of, yo, this guy was good. I will go back and clip parts of this podcast where we were singing the praises and saying,
I never sung his praises.
Other reporters were singing the praises. Chris Carter was singing the praises, saying that's an all-pro linebacker. And let me just tell you this right now. I can say you don't like his attitude. You don't like a lot of things with it. You don't like the fact that you were a little bit showed out by the mother of Devin Bush, which I get. I don't like a lot of things. But I'm not going to there's a difference between Kwame Brown and Devin Bush. Devin Bush showed promise early. The problem is an injury, and then later after that, he was just zapped of whatever it is. Was it a mental thing with him? Maybe he wasn't built to have the dot as the defensive communications for his helmet. Maybe he wasn't built for that. Maybe it was the injury. Who knows with it? But at least I still think that Devin Bush out there as a spot crasher could be something.
He can't
a spot
crash.
crasher. No. That's what I call a middle linebacker out here. A spot cop in which he's basically asked, round up this guy.
You can't do it. If you can't do it here in Pittsburgh, you ain't going to be able to do it anywhere. Pittsburgh's a city. You can't do it.
Maybe he's not a 3-4 middle linebacker.
Maybe not, but still.
There's enough defenses out here. And heck, basically the Steelers run a 4-2-5 or a 2-5-4, if you want to put it like this. There's a lot of emphasis. This is a linebacker heavy system. If the linebackers don't go, unless Cam Hayward's playing out of his mind, which he did a lot of times last year and this year, the Steelers aren't getting any pressure. Come on, man. You know that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, your boy, it's just, he can't cut it here. I don't care about.
I agree with that.
He looked good for a year.
Year and a half.
And then the second year, he had had made some plays. Who cares?
Have you ever felt this way about Devin Bush before? Did you feel this when he was a rookie? Did you feel this during that second season before the injury? Did you? That's my question.
You're talking about before what happened? No, I didn't care because I didn't think he was that good at Michigan.
Okay.
I thought they overreached and drafted him. And the thing is this, and here's the thing. This is what I wanted to say. His attitude is crap. Like, it's terrible. It's horrible.
Weren't you close to interviewing him in the locker room?
No.
You mentioned
This is what happened. By the time I came in there, he was gone. I wanted to go and interview him, but he was gone. Set incident that we saw that he was jubilating in the locker room when the team found out that they got eliminated from the playoffs. While everybody's down and with the series like they won but they lost, Devin Bush is jubilating for what I heard in the locker room. I wasn't there to see him jubilate.
Well,
but I confirm from Jeff Halfmore from 93.7 The Fan, also, like in his word, like a lot of these guys is gold. Number one, he's the one who put me on to the journalism business, helped put me on.
I like Jeff as well too, and I won't ever question that with Jeff Halfthorne. And look, there was a lot of post-injury Devin Bush was just weird. If you remember, his Twitter got very weird, and yeah. So is he that soft mentally that an injury? Man up. Get better. People get better from injuries all the time and gotten better. This is true.
There's no excuse. I know. I don't buy that excuse. This dude is terrible.
I don't buy that, but I buy athletic decline.
Man, people get. What do you think? Like, people get better after injuries these days. That's a crutch that people been using for this dude. Man, this dude is soft. He's a wimp. He can't tackle. He can't cover. He can't hit. I can run him over. Real rap.
My goodness.
This is what I want to say, because Devin Bush, you really need to get on with your life's work.
Really, you didn't start getting back onto it until the last 2 weeks. When his snaps went down.
Because the snaps was down. Look, you have to have heart in this league. Like, okay, Devin, seriously, as a man, you need to grow up and be a man, be a player that you, I don't know if you can be, you're not, maybe not be elite. To be a good linebacker, so you need to stop being weird, grow up, be a man, work on your game, study, because I heard you don't study at all.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. If you're not studying your opponent, especially when at one point you were given the dot for, as I say, for defensive communications, you should have. There's a lot of window dressing in this league. I'm not going to sit here and not say that it's easy for anyone out there to diagnose these plays. But there's a general idea that you need to know, at least have somewhat of a thought in your head of what's going on next.
Yeah, you do. It's just not. I know we're going hard on him, but he's no longer.
You're going hard on him. You have to
be the good cop, but still, you have to study. You have to just be a professional, and I don't think. You can look good when you're a rookie because you're not, but when the professionalism comes in, especially after you get hurt, that's when the professional, the studying, the mental game goes into play.
I'm going to say this. I was saying athleticism in terms of him, in which he couldn't, if there was one thing you could say about him, they always said he was athletic, but even anything, the smallest nick or cut to someone could be the difference between you making that play and you not making that play. But that game of seeing what could happen next, Wayne Gretzky was known for anticipation more than anything else. And I'm pretty sure a lot of great players, even good players in this league, anticipation helps out most of it. If your brain can see it, your body will follow the rest of it. That's the one thing.
Like, come on. Some of the best players, Wayne Gretzky, as you said, was he the best athlete ever? He's like
He was a good skater. He was a good skater.
I mean, he was a good skater, but he wasn't the most athletic.
He could shoot.
He wasn't a freak athlete. He wasn't a generational athlete. Huh?
He could shoot. He was a good skater. He had good physical tools, but you took a look at Wayne Gretzky.
All right, if you put him against Mario Lemieux,
no,
physically, who would you pick?
Lemieux. He was
of course.
He was a hoss on skates.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
doubt.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to be super athletic to get the job done and be a Hall of Famer. You got to be a good athlete. You don't have to be all freakish athletes that what they was talking about in college or whatever. But
that brain, having that brain is so important.
it is important, and that is all I say. Your mind's got to be right. Just like, and then another thing before I this is it seems like the Steelers have that standard has slipped since he's been on the team. Drafted guys like him and especially like Deontay Johnson, he's a weirdo.
I said on Twitter this. Deontay Johnson reminds me so much of a Paula Abdul song. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. The last 2 weeks, we were legitimately saying this is what we wanted out of Deontay Johnson. There's too much inconsistency with him. He was going north. If he did those backwards runs and stuff like that, he was at least making people miss and getting up the field eventually. If you're gonna do these moves, it's got to end with you getting past a defender.
Yes, like I think if they could do something what they did with Claypool in the offseason, we might have something.
Well, DeAndre Hopkins is available, and while I think DeAndre maybe it had something to do with Kyler Murray, but it kind of felt like he's fading a little bit. It kind of feels like he's in that Julio Jones. Could this be the cliff with him? Which gives me pause. But for a 2-year contract and 2-year contract, he has like $34 million on it. $17 million. Of course, Deontay's going to have a dead cap hit. That's always going to be the caveat. $17 million for 2 seasons. Why not? Why not go for a swamp for swamp? If you can get it.
Yeah.
But something tells me one of those 2nd-round picks are going with it though. Possibly that early second. And do you want to put that on the table? Do?
I think still should flip that pick.
Flip the Chicago Bears pick.
Yeah.
That may be other than their 17th overall pick, that might be their most treasured pick in the toolbox. I think because of the situation, you could put an argument it's more treasured.
Get a 2nd rounder next year. You might be able to pick up a 1st rounder next year. Get 2 1st rounders. I flipped the 1st pick too. Need depth. Need depth all around that roster. Come on, man. This is really a 6-win roster. Tomlin juiced 3 wins out of that team than they should have.
He put 3 wins in the grinder with them. There's also a lot of things. Brian Flores has an interview with Cleveland for the defensive coordinator position.
He's gonna get a job somewhere.
I think if I'm the Steelers, if he's going for a head coaching job. I am literally making him. I think Arizona's not. I don't think Arizona's gonna go for a Rooney Rule candidate unless whoever this new GM comes through. But if I was the Steelers, towards any head coaching availability just to get another pick, I would be throwing him out there.
Yes.
I'm not giving him defensive coordinator positions, and I'm not giving him a coordinator position in the division. If the Browns let go of Kevin Stefanski and they want Flores, I wouldn't like it either. But I wouldn't be mad at the fact that they're getting compensation out of it.
Yeah. Because, you get some Arizona. He shouldn't go to Houston ever. Don't ever. No.
And they're going to have a GM that's gonna run through a 3rd head coach with 3 losing seasons.
Yeah, like how did,
If anyone ever says that the Steelers ever need a retooling for any part of the organization, even Canada, I would go look. I would go say Houston's got a GM over there that I don't know what he's doing. I really don't. I don't know what Nick Caserio is doing
I don't
over there.
even know either. I guess he's trying
But
to like.
I would literally, but I would literally try to basically, if you have a salary dump, go to Houston. But if you need a salary dump real quick, go to Houston real quick.
Yeah, because it's bad. Like, so they're going over like how much Lovey got $25 million. They paid 2 coaches $50 million to go away in 2 years.
No plan. It's pirate like what they're doing out there. I mean, that's bad. That's absolutely horrible. I would not, in good conscience, would go to that organization right now for anything until maybe they're not even the number 1 overall pick, but who cares?
You know what? I was glad that happened. Lovie Smith, good for you.
And he gave Chicago arguably his best stop, the number 1 overall pick. Why not?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because what? The Bears are in primo position. They already have their quarterback of the future, or at least a quarterback that might take them somewhere if they tool together pieces. But that's another thing. Let's get back on the Steelers train with it. So now the big question with this team is, of course, what are they going to do with those picks? And I've been adamant with them that a trench on one side of the ball definitely has to be handled, and that's defensive line. Because even though Cam Hayward had a great season, I think they can afford to get younger on that slot. The other side is corner, but yeah.
Yeah. Both sides of the ball. Middle linebacker. Probably could use a depth on the edge. And could always use another receiver. Because we need just Deontay. I think he might be my next boy. He might replace.
I think you've already set him up with it, and here's the difference between Devin Bush and Deontay Johnson, just because it's so simple on what he needs to do. It really is simple.
What I said after the Bills game that got edited out.
He just needs to go get his. He needs to get his mind right, because everything with me to him, he was so close to scoring touchdowns against Cleveland, but it just felt like with everything with him, he actually had less drops than what was reported. He only had 5 this season. I think that's generosity. That's a lot of generosity.
I thought like mistiming balls, stepping outside during the catch. Come on, man.
I don't ever put that as drops, because
I call that
sometimes I put that on sometimes you could put that quarterbacks. I know that these receivers are basically Barishnikov-esque out there on the lines, but when there's a lot of factors that go into that you can't really put out there and say that that's on Deontay. Would you like for him to have those 2 feet in? Yeah. But
situational awareness. He needs to get his head together.
What do you want to do in that situation with him? Knock the ball out of bounds and make sure that truly no one could catch it?
I guess. But
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do in that situation with them.
But the thing is this. We need to get – but we could probably get something for Deontay. Get something for –
He has a solid receiving yard total. I think, isn't he up in 900?
8 something.
8. Well, yeah. So he has when he puts two hands on the ball and when he has good stretches like he did the 2 weeks prior to this game, I'd say you could probably go out there and get something for him. No matter what, when it comes to the Steelers with their receiver room, maybe another second or third round wide receiver would work out with them, but you are right with what you said earlier in the season. An adult in the room would be pretty good, and that adult in the room should be Jarvis Landry if it's not DeAndre Hopkins.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
You probably could use you could probably use another solid veteran. I think you could draft a linebacker later and get a veteran but they tried it last year. But you could use a solid veteran backup quarterback, a real one that wants to be there. Sean Clifford is available.
I don't think Sean. Well, you want to hear someone say, you just want to cause anarchy in between the college ranks.
Did you catch the joke?
I know, but I'm just like,
he said a veteran quarterback, which is Sean Clifford. He's actually.
What you want to put in Stetson Bennett next? I mean, come on, man.
It's not even about that. He's actually older than Pickett.
Please, you'd think Pickett's in the retirement home right now, but anyway, there's a lot to put out there with the team. I guess this is basically becoming a recap podcast. We're not even talking about what we liked about the Browns and all that stuff.
That
it was
Browns
a win.
Game was so insignificant. It was significant, but it was so inconsequential. We were doing
I honestly rather talk about
like half the time. I wrote an article for Nittany Sports Now during the game. And we was scoreboard watching during the game.
Because you were just hoping to have another week in which you could talk about it.
Well,
even though you know the likely outcome, barring something Herculean, wasn't gonna be good next week because everyone had to have their galaxy brain on next week if they were in the playoffs.
It would have been embarrassing. Like, it would have been like the Fire Tomlin chants, the pitchforks would have been out.
Only thing that would have happened only thing that would have saved him was a win. I think it's to the point with this franchise where one playoff win would literally quell everything. Until the next week. But in which they should have won the divisional.
We should have won the Fire Tomlin. Like, the Fire, and they're still calling for him to get fired.
They called for him to get fired if he was holding the Lombardi, but now that was because they didn't beat him by 58 like it's TCU versus Georgia.
You see, I miss loving hip-hop for that.
I see that you were really upset that you missed loving hip-hop. You love your Ratchet TV.
I love my and I miss and I miss Raw too.
I actually was like, if we're watching squash matches right now, I'll just go watch Raw, and I did.
Yeah.
But man, that was
bad.
that really made you go that I don't know. That really made you sit there and go, I see why Oklahoma and Texas is leaving. I really do.
And you see why they're like, there's going to be a college football. They expanded that. The college football.
What you want to see? What you want to see that in the first round? maybe in terms of trying to get some momentum against the Big Four, sure. But what?
It was terrible. I stopped watching.
You want to get some momentum? You want to bring a team in with some momentum? TCU had some pretty good momentum going. Well, they lost the Big 12 championship, which was
They did.
probably. I just hope the conference champions are more supported with this. I think nobody wanted to see Alabama sneak their way in.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think everyone's sitting here going, "My God, why? But yeah, why have Alabama in here? They didn't even play in the conference championship.
Well, they didn't do it the other year.
Lost.
They did that happened twice with Alabama. They didn't win the conference championship game, but they won it all anyway.
Yeah, but this would have been a year in which they weren't even in the building.
Or no.
I can't even remember. Was there an SEC championship game where Alabama wasn't even in it and they still made the playoff?
Yeah. Yes, it was. 2017. When they played Georgia. The Tua game.
They didn't make it to the SEC championship in 2017?
Nope.
Wow.
They still made it.
I want to see who it was. The East champions. Yeah, it was Georgia and Auburn, so I was wrong.
It was
Auburn because of the kick six.
Yeah, no, that was no.
That
was before. They did beat them, but that wasn't a kick six game. That was the kick ass game in 2017. Because that's what Barkley was like. This is not going to be the kick six. This is going to be the kick ass. And they dog on.
Oh my goodness.
That's what Barkley. I remember that college game day too. That was funny. But the kick six was in 2013.
Yeah.
That's when Auburn made it to the national championship and played Florida State. That's how I know.
Yeah, that was just.
And then another reason why I don't like Bush, because he chose Michigan over Florida State. Okay.
So we're starting to get back into personal reasons there.
But still, but it was a personal football reason. This wasn't because his mom, said what she said.
Disparaged our good name.
Didn't she come at us though?
She did. She
came at us first, and she came at us before I even came.
She did. You said, I hope you continue to support our podcast. You said, boy, please. I was sitting there. I never see the other context where I was like, all right, I see it. Still a hater, but still.
But remember, me and you, we will never be top 10 picks.
Never ever. Never ever. But I'm doing my hardest to make at least put myself in number 11. But that's what I do with my career. But what else? I mean, the big thing with it. Did you see the thing about Brock Purdy having 13 touchdowns for San Francisco and Kenny Pickett only had 7? I wanted to say this so bad. Who's the head coach? Is an offensive genius.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I think actually for San Francisco, I think a pocket passer actually works better for them more than having a guy like Trey Lance or Justin Fields, because well Justin Fields has to run for his life effectively, right. But I think a pocket passer actually works better in San Francisco's offense, because when you have your wide receiver being a running back and your running back being a wide receiver, right, there's a lot of things that make you go, what am I supposed to do here defensively? And he's throwing to guys that are, he's not throwing guys open. He's throwing to guys that are already open.
Right.
So the question is, I'm pretty sure if you put Kenny Pickett out in San Francisco, I want to see what Brock Purdy does now with teams that they don't have. yeah, they have a little tape on them, but they're in earnest because it's if we don't stop this guy, we're done.
Right.
Situation. If Purdy wins a few playoff games, I will say, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Relevant.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Okay.
We'll see.
But
Like, yeah.
I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna sit there and go, look, man. Steelers fans are trying to find a Mr. Irrelevant style quarterback, and I'm just, look. I get it. You don't want to have a T. Martin situation.
Right.
But let's pump the brakes on this. That San Francisco team is made for this. They are made to go win a Super Bowl. Not just do damage in the playoffs, go win a Super Bowl. And they're dark horses once again. And honestly, when I look at that NFC's really wide open.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really... For example, my preseason pick was the Packers, and they're not even in the thing.
No.
That was a mess. That's a mess for me. And I had Greg Thompson on here, and I said Bills Packers, and I'm just like, I'm about to send a tweet to him. I said, remember how I said Bills Packers for the Super Bowl? Boy, don't I look like an idiot. But so now I've upgraded to the other side of the state. So
I had them all along.
You had Philly, even as a you covered
I had
Steelers.
I had Philly and Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna ride on your coattails because my pick's done. But I just didn't think that the Packers would be that bad. And then when they had a golden opportunity, I didn't expect for them to just basically say, we can't do this.
We can't. They're worse than the Commanders.
I think the Commanders, you have a soul-crushing expectation of disappointment. With the Packers, as long as they have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, you have a thing.
With the Commanders,
if there's one thing you can say about Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger, if they ride off in the sunset after their final seasons, no matter what happens,
Tom Brady had a losing season. They're 8-9.
Yeah, but he made the playoffs still. That division is a dumpster fire, but he has a losing season, still in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He managed to burn just enough garbage in which it smells good.
True that.
And I'll say this: if you tell me to trade that victory over Tampa for any of the teams that we mentioned for the Steelers, Miami or the Jets, I take the Jets every day. I'd rather have had Tom Brady come in there and beat him again, just as a final goodbye. If it meant that Jets victory, if they beat the Jets, especially with how it ended up.
Yeah, this has been a smorgasbord talking trash. You're gonna delete a few. You're gonna.
This podcast is not coming out until Saturday. I got too much to do. Maybe even Sunday. I mean, we're in the end game, as they'd like to say.
Yeah. Don't tell the people that, but yeah.
I'm joking. We're not gonna have it out until Saturday, but I got a lot to do.
Yeah.
They rather watch us live than listen to us. They want to hear us live and uncut.
You know what? Yeah, we can do spaces.
We might make this a Spaces podcast in which I record it back. I've been thinking of ways to get around it, and being that we can still have our computer on that and put it together. We're just talking, guys.
Yeah, this is not even a real. This is not even. We even analyzing the game right now. We're just shooting the breeze. We're getting ready to go because I have to have I have a real journalism job I have to do.
Tell Joe Smeltzer I said hi.
I did. I will.
Put me on the podcast. I'd like to talk. I told him this. I'll sit there, especially with USC coming. Yeah. Penn State's about to get a double barrel from me.
Double barrel.
You got the local team, and then you got my boys on the West Coast. but I will gladly drop all flags if someone pays me.
Yeah, because I didn't get to see him jubilate though. Because I was talking to Aubrey Bruce after a little bit for a while for like 10 minutes after the game about certain things that's going on.
Trying to secure some deals. I respect it. I'm gonna be securing deals as well. Don't you worry about me.
Oh yeah, I'm securing. I'm doing that now.
We're securing deals. This podcast started as a pandemic hobby. The goal was to offshoot to other podcasts, go to other places, do our thing, and in year 3 of the Renegade Blitz podcast, we have certainly done that with whether it's been writing with you two or commentating high school sports. But I'm going to join the writing well. I promise I'm going to put this out on a podcast, and I solemnly swear I'm going to write something for every single week of Steelers football next year. Yeah, every single week. From training camp on. I might even start with the mini camps and all that stuff. I should start there. So I'll put that out there. So Ray Porter, if you're watching somewhere, give me something to do. I'll do it. All you gotta do is tell me, hey, I need you to write this. Okay. I just want people to tell me something to do.
But yeah.
I'm not lazy. It's just that I got a lot of other things to do. But if you tell me I need you to do this, I will do it.
All right.
So, for example, tell me you need me to edit this podcast.
Well, but yeah. Since this pod, he's supposed to start recording at 9. I think I gotta go, but I have to talk.
All right. We'll let you go. You got some business. Go make some money. But anyways, thanks for watching the scuffed version of the Renegade Blitz podcast, as only me and Brandon Walker can do. I'm Ty Polk. Thank you for listening. We'll have off-season content for you. We'll keep it going for as long as we possibly can, and which is going to be forever on the Renegade Blitz.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. And subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.